Catus Maximus here. I haven't done a review on any bicycle stuff since a long time ago when I reviewed a couple of my bicycles. But I recently had an issue with these Bell/Innova 700C. These are 700 by 35C commuter bike tires, sometimes called 28-inch. It seemed that with 26-inch bicycle wheels, everything was standardized. 26-inch, and then there came the 700C and then 29ers, and it got a little confusing. I was even a little confused until I realized my bike was this 28-inch by 1 5/8 by 1 3/8 on this tire. These tires are not actually the easiest ones to find. I mean, they're around in bicycle shops and some department stores, and they're starting to pick up more of this size, but they used to be a rare tire. This is a Bell one, and it's advertised that it has Kevlar in the tire tread, if we can get that to focus. And it just has a silk screen of the Bell company, but it's simply an Innova tire. Whereas, here we go, as we can see, Innova. And these tires are expensive, easily running $40, $50. So I found this tire for, I think it was like $22, and I thought it was a decent deal. At least some more flat resistance. It does have a steel bead, so it's not the lightest of tires. But I was kind of on a budget, and indeed is steel bead. There's a magnet. The flat resistance seemed reasonably well. I got a couple flats, and then I had some real issues with it. Anyway, I'll look at the tread here. You can see I didn't put a ton of miles on this tire. I do like that it has a fairly efficient tread, but fairly grippy and fairly thick. I was expecting at least get some miles. You know, you don't change bicycle tires too often. And then I had a flat, and it was a big pop, but I thought, oh gosh, I must have went over a hard edge or something on the concrete. Well, I tend to run these tires at maybe 50, 60 PSI, probably around 60 to tell you the truth, but not at the max. These are rated for up to 75 PSI. And that's the real purpose of this review, is to say that, you know, I would hold off on buying these if you at all possibly can. Spend a few more dollars, get a little better of a tire, or wait till they're real cheap, because this was pretty unfortunate. It actually left me stranded. It wasn't totally stranded. I was near a bus stop, so I was able to take the bus back home, but it was really, I was several miles away. It was really pretty frustrating. The root issue problem with these tires is that they have one and or two things, is poor quality compounds, and then secondly, inappropriate vulcanization. When tires are made and the rubber compounds are put together, they are put into a mold, a big mold, just like they manufacture any plastic item, but it's the whole tire. It's a very complicated and expensive mold. And then they inject the rubber with, they place the fiber reinforcing in there, or yes, the fiber reinforcing is placed in there, and then they inject the rubber, and that's what all these little nozzles are, all these little bumps. Whenever you get new tires, bicycle or car tires, that's what all those bumps are, is the little nozzles, the little holes where they inject the rubber in. And then it is under both pressure and heat causes to set, kind of like a type of adhesive or epoxy or glue, but this time it is heat and pressure. And then there's definitely issues with both the durability of the compound as well as the vulcanization process, because I actually ended up buying two of these because they were so cheap. And on the other one, which I currently have on my bike, I'm not going to pull it back off right now, there were actually bubbles inside, where the inside of the rubber didn't bond to the actual tread portion and then the fiber reinforcing, and it was real frustrating. The root problem with this is when I had that flat, I pulled out the tube to see if I could patch it, and this is what came out. And so I may be wrong. I may have been able to patch this. Please leave a comment below if you think this type of hole in an inner tube is easily patched or is patchable at all. Anyway, I've ridden bikes for a long time. A lot of people have. But it's been many, many years. You know, it was my only mode of transportation. So I've definitely gone through a fair number of flat tires and tubes. And this is one of the ones that just takes the cake. I was just like, what on earth happened here that caused the whole tube just to completely explode like that? And I thought I had got the edge of the tube pinched between the bead or twisted or something, and it just finally gave out, and that's why it was just such a catastrophic tear. So I ended up replacing it because I did have a spare tube on me. I've wisened up to that. And then after just about a mile, the same thing happened. So I just couldn't figure out what was going on. And while I was changing the tire, initially everything seemed to be okay. So when I got home, I noticed that the back side of the tire, everything was fine. You could see this nice green line, everything was okay. And then on this side of the tire, I started to notice, oh, it seems a little bit worn. I've seen that in tires before, but it was more than just worn. The bead is completely separated. You can see down here where there's a normal bead, and this bead is critical because that's actually what keeps the tire, the sidewalls, from popping out of the rim when you inflate the inner tube. It isn't just the U shape of the tire, or that it's a circle that's matched to the size of the rim. It's actually this bead itself is really what holds everything on. It's where all the power is driven from the bicycle, or on a car, it's all driven through the bead. And so the bead just completely failed on this tire, and now I'm apprehensive about the tire I currently have. But that explains why the tube was blown out so catastrophically, was just because the bead gave out, and so the whole sidewall just gave way, and then a big section of the tube ballooned out and burst. It was real disappointing, and the biggest disappointment is you can see there just isn't that many miles. This tire is only about 6 months old. And most bicycle tires easily last until the tread is totally worn out. So I was pretty disappointed. So that was generally the purpose of this review, was just to show how the bead gave out, the catastrophic flats, and even though the idea of a Kevlar tire seemed nice for flat resistance, it turned out that it was such poor quality that I ended up getting more flats than I would have with a normal tire or thorn resistant tube. I just wanted to show all the numbers that were on this for anybody who was curious. This is the exact tire. There's that part number. And I really did only run at about 60 psi for a little more comfort. There's where it says up to 75 psi. And there's one other number all the way out here. There we go. So that's all the numbers that were on the tire. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this review. It's a little bit longer review for a bicycle tire, but these Bell products and these Innova tires are a lot of places, and I'm sure a lot of people are buying them because they are cost competitive. But it sure is frustrating to have a tire where the sidewall just gives away, or the tire bead just fails well before the tread life is used up. Then that price bargain is not worth it at all, because you're stranded, you have to walk your bike, and then you can't use your bike at all until you get a new tube and tire, and then you've just spent twice as much money. Some stores, and usually, this happened after just about 6 months, so it's real insidious because, it's beyond a 30-day policy. Trying to ship a tire back to Bell or Innova is just prohibitively expensive. It's really just kind of feels like a ripoff. Anyway, I'm going to end the review here. I really appreciate everybody who watches my videos and who has subscribed to my channel, and I really appreciate all the supporters who have helped build my channel up from the very first subscriber. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the Catus Maximus channel. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.